DreAllDay.com. DreAllDay.com, balloverseas.com, Overseas Basketball Blueprint. And the topic we are addressing here is this a scam? I think we're going to make this might be a recurring topic that we're going to do here. So we'll call this, Is This a Scam Volume 1? Because I'm sure I'm going to be answering more of these questions in the future, because I've been asked these questions many times over the years by players who, even before the Overseas Basketball Blueprint was a thing, players will come to me knowing that I had a background in playing overseas and knowing where I came from in order to play overseas. A lot of players who have or had similar backgrounds to me will come to me and ask me, well, since you've been to these camps and you were able to get on, what do you think about this? Or I remember once I had a player reach out to me and say, Dre, I want to go to a camp, but I want to go to a camp that's legit. Can you tell me which one is legit and which one is not? And I said, well, first of all, you're going to have to give me a definition of what you mean when you say legit, because people have different meanings of that word. And with exposure camps, it's kind of like, it's not like any one camp is specifically legit and one is specifically a scam, because it really depends on the quality of the players, plural, who show up that you're going to be playing with and against. And it depends on the quality of the player themselves, meaning you, who's asking about the camp. If you can't play, any camp you go to, you could call it a scam, because nothing's going to happen, because if you can't play, you're not going to get a result. But you did invest your money and your time, so you could say, well, that's a scam. I spent $500 on this camp and traveled to Vegas and I didn't get anything out of it. It's a scam. Well, it's not that the camp was a scam. It's maybe just that you can't play. So it's really hard to say that an event itself is a scam if there are players there who just can't play. It might be just a low quality player or players that cause that. But anyway, back to what I was saying. This player said, I'm going to go to an event that's legit. And I said, what's your definition of legit? And he said, by legit, I mean, and he put this in quotation marks, not a scam, quote unquote. And I'm like, all right, well, I remember laughing when I read that. And I'm like, you're going to have to do a better job than that if you want me to try to explain to you what is going to be a good move for you and what's not going to be a good move for you. But anyway, since we're calling this Not a Scam Volume 1, I want to go over a document that a player forwarded to me from a specific management company / agency for professional basketball players playing overseas. They made this player this offer. This player sent it to me, asked me what I thought about it, and asked me, hey, he asked me straight up, Dre, is this a scam? And this was, I believe it was in the Instagram DMs he asked me this. So any of you have a challenge like this or a question like this, feel free to send me a DM on Instagram at Dre Baldwin. As long as Instagram is the hot platform. If it becomes another one, I'll probably be on that one too. I'm also on Twitter at Dre All Day, if those of y'all don't know. I'm on everywhere else. I'm on Facebook. I'm everywhere. Y'all can find me on any platform. Anyway, I'm going to read out the points that what this player told me was that this management company is offering them basically a membership. It's a yearly membership where you, the player, pay that company X number of dollars per year. In exchange for that payment, you get these things that are on this list. I'm going to read everything that's on this list. And again, they get the money. You get all these perks and benefits that are on this list. And the player asked me, is this a scam? So let me read what's on the list first. And I'm going to leave out any identifying data. So if anyone from this company happens to be listening, and you probably will know that I'm talking about you, since nobody else has this exact list of theirs. But I'm not going to say your company's name. I'm not going to identify anybody who's with the company. So you can't take it personal and think that I'm dissing you or personally attacking you, because I'm not saying your damn name. But anyway, you'll know that I'm talking about you. And if you got a problem with it, hey, reach out to me and clarify anything that you're sharing against whatever feedback, whatever points that I give when I get to the end of reading this list. So anyway, let's read the list. And then we're going to go over what I told this player, why I said it to this player, and my overall assessment of this offer. And then you can consider what you could do with this information moving forward. And again, if you ever have a challenge like this and you're not quite sure, hit me up. I will gladly take a look at it and probably talk about it publicly so everybody can benefit from however I analyze it. So let's read this list. Number 1, 9 things you get as a member of this management company's membership. Okay. Number 1. You get access to their job openings where you as a player fit the qualification criteria. So anyway, I'm just going to paraphrase what they're saying in each one of these points so that y'all understand exactly what I'm assuming this means. Okay, now the people who made this is not their wording. I'm reading what they said, but then I'm going to tell you what it means to me as a player and as a person who has seen a lot of these offers. Okay, so this first point is basically saying you will get access to any job opening that comes across our desk and we think you fit, we'll tell you about it. All right, that's point number one. Number two, you get an updated and edited player profile and resume. In other words, what they're saying is we will create a profile and resume for you. That's what they're saying they're going to do. That's point number two. Point number three, we will promote your profile to NBA, G League, and FIBA general managers, coaches, and scouts. So that profile that they're going to make for you, they will promote that to G League teams, NBA teams, FIBA general managers. That means FIBA's everywhere outside of the NBA. Overseas coaches and scouts. Now, overseas, again, can be Mexico, South America. You technically don't cross the sea, but y'all know overseas anywhere outside of USA. So whenever I say overseas, that's what I mean. All right, so they're going to promote your profile that they already made for you to these coaches and scouts. This is what they're offering. Point number four, you will get dedicated outreach to their company's internal database of 2,000 G League and FIBA teams. And it says in parentheses, you get dedicated outreach 4 times a year to their internal database of these teams, international teams and G League teams. All right, that's point number four. We're going to come back through all of this in a moment. Point number five, you get career consulting from a licensed agent, NBA PA/FIBA agent. You will get consulted twice a year by that person. They will consult you on your career and what you're doing, where you're going. Point number six, you get a subscription to this company's newsletter, which will include information on players getting contracts, exposure camps, and professional team tryouts 4 times a year. You will get that. So you'll receive a newsletter 4 times a year that tells you who's getting the job, what exposure camps are happening, and what teams are offering tryouts. All right, you get that letter 4 times a year. Point number 7, you will be eligible for discounts and special rates to international exposure camps and team tryouts. All right, that one is pretty cut and dry. I don't think I had to explain that one. Number 8, you will have your contract negotiated if and when you secure a job through one of their agents. Let me read exactly what this says. I want to read this verbiage because I had to read this a couple times just to understand it myself. Negotiation of professional basketball team contract when placement is secured by a FIBA licensed agent of their agency. So, all right, if I'm breaking this down, if I'm understanding this correctly, they're saying if one of our agents, this company, if one of our agents gets you a contract, we will negotiate the contract on your behalf. Well, no shit. Okay, but that's what it says. Again, I'm just reading their document. Number 9, this is the last part. Opportunity to become one of our clients if a contract is secured. This is another no shit point. Okay, so they're basically saying if you secure a contract, we'll sign you and we'll represent you. We'll be your agent if you get a contract. Well, of course. I mean, I would be your agent if I knew you had a contract. But anyway, I'm just reading what's on this document. And this whole thing, the whole fee for this is they're asking for $150 a year, this particular management company. Now, anyway, whoever this management company is, again, if anyone from the company is reading this or listening to this, you probably know that I'm reading your document. And I mean, you put it out there, so you can't be mad. It's not like this is an internal secure document. And secondly, if this is what you're offering, this is what you're offering. I told the player, this is what I said to that player. I said, this is not a scam, but I would not take this offer. This is not a scam. I don't believe this company is scamming. I went and looked up a little bit of information on who this company is, who's running it, what they have going on. I didn't do deep analysis, but I looked at what they're doing. This company does actually exist. There are real people running it. There are real players who are signed to them. They are actually out there doing stuff in the basketball world. So they are not a scam. This is not some shadow company. It's not some person in India just stealing your money and you'll never hear from them again. This is a real company. They do really exist. However, I would not take this offer. When I was playing ball and I was trying to get on, this is not an offer I would take. Now, let me tell you why I would not take this offer. First of all, they want $150 a year. And this is what I told the player. I said, you should take that $150 and you would give to them, and you should save that, add to it probably a few more dollars that you're going to need, fly yourself to an exposure camp, pay the fee, and show your game right there on the spot, because that's how I got my job. Now, am I saying that nobody is ever going to get a job through this? That is not what I'm saying, because listen, there are a million different ways that somebody could get a job. All right, is it possible somebody could get a job through taking advantage of this offer? Absolutely, it is possible. Could that happen? Yes. If you're asking me for my professional opinion, whether you should think that this is going to get you a job as opposed to you going on a court and proving yourself on a court in front of the decision maker who can sign you right there, I would suggest you go and put some more money on top of that $150 and go to the exposure camp and secure that deal yourself. Now let me go through these points again, and I'm going to explain to you why I'm thinking what I'm thinking. So now I just told you what I feel about this offer. Again, not a scam, but I wouldn't do it. And I'm going to explain to you why. So first point, going through these points again, then I'm going to tell you as I go through these points why I'm saying what I'm saying about each one. So the first one is you get access to their job openings when they feel you fit the criteria. So if I'm paying you, all right, if I'm hiring you as my management company, I'm a member of your management. So they're not offering to sign you as a client. Now I've told you all many times, before I even get into these points, I should say this again. When you are signed to an agent, you don't pay the agent to do anything for you. What this company is saying to you is, okay, we're not offering to be your agent just yet. What we'll do is let you pay us. We'll give you access to some of our information, and you're paying us for that. And if you happen to get a deal, then we'll become your agent. That's what they're offering. They're basically offering you it's kind of like they're offering you an internship. You're like a pro basketball intern. So this company, I went and looked up this company. They have clients that they have signed. There are people that they represent as an agency. Those players who are signed to their agency do not pay them anything because they help those players get jobs. And when those players get a job, the agency gets paid by the team the team that signs that player. But if they're offering you this deal, they're basically telling you, hey, you're not quite at the level that we want to sign you to our agency, but you can pay us and we'll give you access to some of our information. I personally, now I don't know if this is ego talking, I don't know if it's foolish pride talking, but personally, if a company offered me that, I would say to them, well, look, I respect your opinion. You don't want to represent me, is all good, but fuck you. I'm not paying you $150 just for the right to be on the fringes of what you got going on. You got players that you actually represent and you do work to get them jobs, but you're telling me I'm not quite on that level, but I can pay you just for access to some of your database? Hell no. I'd rather take that money and bet on myself and see if I can get my own deal on something that at least I know exactly what's happening. This here, as I read through these points, point number one, they said we give you access to our job openings when you fit the qualification criteria. Well, what the hell does that mean? I'll have a lot of questions on the wording of that first point right there. How do you decide if I fit the criteria or not? How do I know whether you're actually showing me every job that I fit the criteria for, or you're just holding back information and you're only throwing me a bone when you feel like I deserve a bone? I don't like this first point at all. I don't like the wording of it, and I don't like the vagueness of it, and I don't like the fact that they control when I get to see a job opening. They're saying here, we'll show you a job opening when we think you fit. I don't like that at all. I'm not paying for that. Now, if you say you're just going to offer me that, I'll put my information in, and they say, all right, if you haven't matched a job, we'll send it to you, and I ain't got to pay. All good. You send it, you send it, cool. If you don't send it, fine. But it didn't cost me anything, didn't cost you anything. But if you're telling me I got to pay you, and then you're going to send it to me when you think I qualify, oh, hell no. That's a hell no right off the bat. Point number two is that they'll create a player profile for you. And point number three is they will promote you to, all right, let's just do point number two first. They're going to create a player profile for you. All right, this is not really worth money. All right, it's not worth money to say we will create a player profile for you. Why the hell do I need to pay you? I mean, part of my money is going towards you creating me a player profile. I can create my own profile. All right, what do you need on the profile? People want to know your measurements. I mean, y'all ever seen y'all go to ESPN.com or NBA.com and you see NBA players' data? All right, that's what you need. People want to know your name, how old are you, what are your measurements, your height and your weight. All right, where have you played, where are you playing right now, and show us some proof that you did it. Show us some proof of what you've done. Show us your stats, and then show us some game film. Full game highlight video. That's a profile. Now, is there a certain way it could be structured and ordered, and maybe somebody can make a pretty website? Listen, if a team is interested in signing you, they want that information. However, they got to get it. Whether you got to write it down in an email, whether they get it off some pretty website, whether they get it off a terrible looking website, if they're interested in signing you, that's the information they want. Who are you? What do you look like? Where are you from? How old are you? Where have you played? Where are you playing right now? Show us the stats. Show us the video. That's it. That's it. If you have some references, maybe somebody that they know that they would trust and help you get in because they put in a good word for you, maybe that'll help as well. But somebody making a profile for you is not really worth money. That's like a bonus item. Point number three. They say we will promote your profile to G League and FIBA. So I'll just, whenever they say FIBA, I'll just say overseas. To G League and overseas general managers, coaches, and scouts. I don't like this point here because, again, if you're going to promote my profile to G League and overseas coaches and scouts, why don't you just sign me and represent me as my agent? Why don't you just be my agent? Why am I paying you $150 to promote me when that's what you're doing for people who aren't paying you at all? So why would I think, as a player, you're not signing me as an agent, you're offering me to be a part of your membership, but the players that you signed, you represent them as an agency, they don't have to pay anything and you're promoting them. So if you got an option between promoting a player that you represent that's not paying you and one of us who's in this membership here, which one are you actually going to promote? They're going to promote the guy who is not paying them, the one who signed to the agency, because they're incentivized to get some money out of the time that they're putting into that person. And again, knowing what I know about the agency world, if they're not offering to sign you and represent you as your agent, is because on some level, they don't believe that you are worthy of getting a contract. So that's why they're not offering to sign you. That's why they're asking you to pay them instead of them doing work. And through their efforts, they're kind of paying you. They're not paying you money, but they're putting time and effort into working to get you signed. That work is worth money, right? And they're going to get paid back when you get a deal. You get paid, they get paid, the team gets the player they want. That's a win-win-win situation. But they're not offering to do that for you. They're just offering for you to pay them. And then they say they're going to promote your profile to G League and FIBA general managers, coaches, and scouts. This is a very fishy point. This point right here is super fishy. This right here is why I would say no. Just on this point alone. Point number 4, they say you will get outreach to their internal database of 2,000 G League and overseas international teams 4 times a year. I don't know exactly what that means. I guess they're saying that they have access in certain pieces of information for contacting teams that an average person just going on Google or whatever would not have access to. So you will get dedicated outreach to that database 4 times a year. I would need clarification on the wording of this. This verbiage is kind of unclear, so I don't know exactly what that means. So I would have written them back and asked them, hey, what do you mean here on point number 4? What do you mean when you say dedicated outreach? And why only 4 times a year? Why not just get outreach as much as I want? 4 times a year meaning what? Like I get a 30-minute window of access. I get access for a whole day. I get a whole week. What do you mean 4 times a year dedicated outreach? The verbiage here is very unclear. And when verbiage is unclear, just for this company, if you happen to be listening to this or watching me right now, when your verbiage is unclear like this causes people to not purchase your offering because they don't know exactly what they're getting. And y'all can just take that information. Y'all can take that advice from me for free. Point number 5. It says career consulting from a licensed NBA/overseas agent. It says NBPA, which is NBA Players Association, and FIBA agent. So this some agent who is licensed to serve clients in the NBA or FIBA, they're going to give you career consulting. Listen, I'm giving you career consulting right now. So the challenge with this one, this company who put this out, again, if y'all are listening, I'm giving career consulting on my podcast and in my books and on YouTube all the time, and I'm not charging people anything. So this is not really worth anything. And listen, it's coming from a place of a person who I have nothing tangible to gain from anybody who's watching this. So them offering career consulting as part of their membership offer, this is not worth anything, in my opinion. Again, I'm just telling y'all how I see this. Point number 6, you get a subscription to their newsletter. So they're going to send you an email, which will give you updates on player placements. That means a player who got a contract. They're going to tell you who got a contract and where, what exposure camps are happening, and what team tryouts are happening. But it's 4 times a year. Now, they're going to send out a newsletter 4 times a year. That ain't really enough. I send out emails like every other day. They sending a newsletter out 4 times a year. This is not worth anything. I wouldn't pay to get an email from anybody 4 times a year. And I would pay maybe to talk to somebody directly 4 times a year, but not to get an email from somebody that gives me player placements, exposure camps, and professional team trials. Let me tell you something about exposure camps, ladies and gentlemen. If I'm running an exposure camp, all right, think about this logically. If I'm running an exposure camp, how many players do I want to know about my exposure camp? I want every player in the damn world to know about my exposure camp. So this company is saying you will get updates on exposure camps. Why do I need to sign up for a membership to get updated on an exposure camp? If I put together an exposure camp right now in Miami, Florida, where I live, I'm going to do everything I need to do to make sure every basketball player who wants to play overseas knows about my exposure camp. Why? Because that's the only way I'm going to get a return on my investment on putting that event together. It's not a secret. So you don't need to be signed up to anybody's newsletter to find out about an exposure camp. It's called an exposure camp. The whole point is exposure. They want to be seen by as many people as possible. So for them to offer this, put this in their list of their offering as to what you're going to get in exchange for your money, makes no sense. Every exposure camp wants everybody in the world, every player in the world who wants to play ball to know about their camp. They're going to do what they got to do to make sure you find out, whether that be on social media, sending out emails, paying for advertisements, going on somebody's show, starting their own show, whatever they got to do. So for this to be something that is like as if you couldn't get access to this on your own, this is not, again, this is another part of this offer that is not worth what they're charging for it. It wouldn't be worth $1. And professional team tryouts, maybe that one. Professional team tryouts is, again, a very vague thing. As far as I know, as far as I personally know, very rarely does a professional basketball team just say, hey, we're having a tryout and anybody can show up. Because if that happened, everybody in the world will show up. And if they're having a tryout that anybody can't show up, it is invitation only, then does it matter that you know about it if you're not invited? Why do you need to know? If you can't come, why does it matter that they're having a tryout? So again, I don't know about professional teams just offering an open tryout, like the G League has local tryouts, and I already told y'all about that. So I don't see any value in this point here, and it's also kind of unclear exactly what the value of this is. So again, this company, if y'all are listening, y'all really need to clean up the verbiage on this because it doesn't really make sense. Point number 7. You are eligible for discounts and special rates to exposure camps and team tryouts. All right, so this kind of goes hand in hand with point number 7. And this point is worth 0, is worth less than the web page that is printed on. You are eligible for discounts and special rates. You're eligible. It's not that you actually get them. You're eligible for discounts and special rates. All right, this is not, what the hell is this? Whoever put this together, this company, y'all should hire a copywriter, honestly. Y'all could hire me as a copywriter. I can make this 20 times better than what it is, and y'all will probably make more sales, even with the exact same offer. It's just the way that this is worded, it's not really landing with me. You're eligible for discounts and special rates. Like, that's the kind of shit you get when you sign up for like Priceline.com. Hey, click this button to be eligible for special rates and discounts. I'm like, no, all that means is they're gonna be sending me a bunch of fucking email that I don't want to read. Like, that's all it means. They gotta do a lot better than that. Hell no on point number 7. Number 8. All right, number 8 and number 9. Let me read these together and then I'm gonna break these down. And this is the crux of their whole offer right here, number 8 and number 9. Negotiation of your professional contract when your placement is secured by one of our agents. And then number 9, you have an opportunity to become our client if a contract is secured. So this is what they're saying. If you get a deal, you could become one of our clients, but you're paying us right now. If you get a deal, how the hell are you going to get a deal if they're not representing you? If they're not your agent, what role will they play in you getting a contract? So when you get a contract, oh, now we'll represent you. All right, now we'll work for you. Before that, you got to pay us. What sense does that make? That makes no sense to me business-wise as an entrepreneur of my own business. Owner of my business, as a professional athlete, you are owner of your own business. They're telling you, you're not good enough for us to represent you today, but if you ever become good enough that a team wants to sign you, all right, then we'll represent you. All right, that's complete bullshit. That right there is making me like that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. All right, the way that's put together. I know exactly what they're doing, and I want y'all to understand that this company, again, if y'all happen to be listening, this is not really a personal knock against y'all because y'all know where y'all got this from. They are not the first company to offer something like this. They will not be the last company to offer something like this. Agencies do this all the time. They'll say, you'll come to them, and I went through this personally, so I know what I'm talking about. You will go to the agency, and you're like, yo, I want y'all to represent me because you're trying to get a job. So you logically think, all right, if I get an agent can help me get a job. That's a good idea. So you reach out to the agent looks at your stuff, or the agency. Agent might be one person, agency may be multiple people. This seems to be a company, and I looked them up, so they do have multiple people working there, at least according to what they have online. And they'll look at you and conclude that you may not be representation worthy at this point. And that's not a knock on you personally. Maybe you aren't representation worthy. I had many agents turn me down looking at my material at different points in my career. It's fine, don't take it personal. And as I said, you don't have to impress everybody. You only need one person to believe in you for you to get a deal. All right, you don't need the whole world to believe. You just need one team or one agent to believe. That's it. So don't worry if 100 people say no. They're looking at you and they say, all right, you're not representation worthy, but you could pay us $150 a year. And if you ever become representation worthy, and that's proven through the fact that someone already offered you a contract, then we'll negotiate it for you and we'll sign you. Like, okay, so basically I'm doing all the work for you to sign me, and then you get paid off the work that I've already done. Why the hell would I do that? Why would I do that personally as a player? Just asking myself, I would never do that. That would be like, give you all an example. All right, this book right here, Work on Your Game. All right, I did this book with a Manhattan publisher, all right, publishing company. I did not use a book agent. All right, the way the book world works, I talked about this in a different video. The book world works in the basketball world is pretty similar in that oftentimes you have to get an agent to get into the game because you can't get your calls taken as a cold call. So here's the thing. Let's say that I was going to a bunch of publishing agents and asking them, hey, I got this book called Work on Your Game. This is before the book exists. So I got the idea of the book. I got this idea for this book called Work on Your Game. I want to put it out. Would you represent me, Mr. Book Agent, Mr. Publishing Agent, Mr. Author Agent? And a bunch of agents said to me, no, we're not interested, not returning my calls, right? Then one agent said, some publishing agent said to me, Dre, look, here's what we'll do. You pay us $150 a year. We'll offer you some information and access to some database every now and then, and we'll give you a couple consultations, and we'll make you an author bio and all these things. And if, Dre, you ever become good enough that a publishing company wants to do a deal with you, then let us know. We'll negotiate the deal, get a piece of that contract in our pocket, and we'll sign you to our agency then because you became good enough to get signed. And I'm looking at them like, oh, well, kiss my ass. All right, so you just think I'm not good enough now, but if I ever become good enough, you'll gladly do a little bit of work on my behalf and pocket a percentage of my money that I just worked to build my name up good enough to get it? Hell no. So I'm saying absolutely no to this, even though $150 a year, depending on your situation, may not be a lot of money to you for a chance to maybe grab a 4-leaf clover out of a big garden. I would say no to this offer. Now I just broke this down. It took damn near a half hour to break down why I'm saying no to this offer. So any of you players out there, I think I've said enough about this. Any of you players out there who ever have a question like this about this kind of offer, again, this is not a new thing. This company who's doing this, nothing personal against y'all, and y'all can't take it personal because I didn't say your fucking name, but they are not the first company to do this. Agencies were doing this even back when I was trying to get on over 15 years ago. Agencies were doing things just like this, offering like some kind of membership. You pay us some type of fee and we'll give you access to this database, and if there's this happening, we'll tell you this and that. Basically selling you information that is already free on the internet. They're selling it to you, and in exchange for that, they get some money. And then if you ever become good enough, then they'll sign you and do some work on your behalf. If you become good enough to get signed, then they'll do the negotiation for which they get paid. They didn't do any other work to build up your name or your profile or anything. All they did was just hop in when it was time for you to get paid and get a cut of it. They're basically doing you like Don King did Mike Tyson. All right, no. I'm saying absolutely no to that. I think I've broken this down enough. Any of you ever have a question about anything that looks or sounds like what I just went through, what I just went over, hit me in the DM, send me an email, dre@dreallday.com. I will gladly take a look at it, and I will give you my honest professional feedback on why I'm telling you what I'm telling you. Again, I have no incentive to give you any information. I'm not hating on anybody. I didn't mention these guys' names, so you don't even know who I'm talking about. And that's what it is. Any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, leave them in the comment section. If you're on YouTube, if you are watching this or listening to this on a podcast app, please leave a rating and review of the show. Let me know that this is actually helping you and giving you information that will help your career. I appreciate the feedback. If you appreciate the show, then I would appreciate some feedback. So everybody, make sure you get that book, Overseas Basketball Blueprints. 237-page book that tells you everything you need to know, what you need to do, and what you need to avoid, such as what I just went over when it comes to this overseas thing. Because look, you ain't got time to waste, and you also probably don't have money to waste. If you're anything like I was when I got out of college, I ain't had no job. I didn't have a whole lot of money to draw from. I didn't have parents who were supplying my career. So you got to be careful with every dollar you spend. Overseas Basketball Blueprint, get the book. It's already paid for. It's free. All you do is take care of the shipping. Go to balloverseas.com. Balloverseas.com. Secure your copy of that book. We'll ship it to you worldwide, anywhere you live. We shipped 3 or 4 of them overseas just a couple days ago. We got about 25 of them, about 15 feet away from me, that need to be shipped out soon. They're all spoken for. That's that. Make sure you get your copy. Work on your game. Dre all day.